I think I'm done making product reviews, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's complicated. Humble beginnings. One video that took off and planted a seed. A bunch of trolls that watered that seed, and that seed started to grow. How building shelves in the garage kind of harvested that plants, but don't worry, I'm going to explain all that later. And then the universe, i.e. the people watching this channel telling me that I'm on the right track, or at least I think I am. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's go back to the beginning of the Cheap Audio Man channel. It all started here with some notes, me sitting over here. Many of you may have heard this before. I sold a bunch of action figures that my parents had in their basement, made a whole bunch of money from it, bought some high-end hi-fi stuff, thought it was gonna change my world. I was gonna hear the angels sing. It didn't work out, so I started a YouTube channel because I was mad about it. So I sold all that gear. I went out and bought a bunch of hi-fi gear to do product reviews because that's what I watched. But the one thing I didn't love is I heard a bit of a reoccurring theme that this specific thing that cost $600 was the entry level into hi-fi. And that made me mad. Not everybody has $600. And I figured, why not? This is the stuff that I can afford. This is the stuff that other people can afford. So let's make the videos that I wish existed. All these reviews on cheap stuff really started laying the foundation for the channel. But I wasn't qualified to review products. But then again, looking back on my life, I've never really been qualified to do anything that I've done. Last night it was after 8 o'clock and I had just gotten back from soccer practice for my daughter, and I remembered I hadn't eaten yet. So instead of going and getting fast food, I opened the fridge and grabbed Factor. I'm gonna be 50 next year, and trying to be healthy is difficult with children and children. But Factor makes it super easy. It's always fresh, never frozen, and they're delicious. And guess what? They just doubled their menu. 2 minutes in the microwave and it's ready. My daughter had one the other night. I had the hamburger bowl. It was delicious. I've got a limited amount of time and I love working out, but sometimes I miss workouts. I like to jog, and I use the term jogging very loosely. There's a lot of walking involved in my jogging. That's why your diet is super important. Factor makes it super easy to stick to your diet. You can also swap proteins at no additional cost. So if something's got chicken but you want pork chops, well, you can switch it for free. And regardless of what your health goals, Factor has something to offer for you. If you're gluten-free, Factor's got you covered. Need a bunch of protein? Factor's got you covered. They even have Asian and Mediterranean options. And they have a brand new customization option. So head to factor75.com and use the code CHEAPAUDIOFB50. You're gonna get 50% off plus a free breakfast for a year. Or you can just click the link in the description. Right down there. If you're as busy as I am and you have as many children as I have, well, then Factor is going to bail you out. So go to factor75.com, use the code CHEAPAUDIOFB50. You're going to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring today's video. I made a video. I don't even think there's a single edit in that video, and it was the video that kind of changed everything for the channel. And that was audiophiles are full of crap. For me, that was like the first viral video. I don't know how many views it has right now, but it's a lot. And the thing about that video is it wasn't on a product. It was my opinion, my experience. It was basically me ranting about why I started my channel in the first place. A bunch of stuff about gatekeeping and just kind of the negative vibe that some audiophiles can give off. And I guess it struck a chord with people because thousands of comments came in, most of them supporting my standpoint. A lot of them didn't, but that's okay. They were calling me a clown, that I didn't know what I was talking about, and they weren't wrong. After this video came out, I kind of discovered something, and that was a video doesn't have to be about a product to do well. I didn't grow up with a ton of money. I I didn't grow up with a ton of access to hi-fi either. So the thought of companies sending me hi-fi gear, some of which later to find out they didn't even want back, was intoxicating. And even though I wasn't drunk on alcohol, I was now drunk on hi-fi products, amplifiers and speakers. Because it felt like a dream. Thought I was getting everything I wanted. And I didn't say no to anyone. If one amp was good, then 12 were better. When I started to get emails, I wouldn't even read it. I would just be like, yes, send it here. And some of those product review videos did pretty well, which meant the emails kept coming. And before I knew it, the dining room was full, the garage was full, the attic was full, boxes were everywhere. And when I listened to the stuff, most of it was good. Some of it was great, but that was kind of the problem. I love researching. I love learning new stuff. And my entire life, I have had the ability to hyper fixate and focus on whatever subject or topic that I'm interested in, to the detriment of many people that are in my life. But I was never qualified to be a reviewer. I didn't have the reference points. I didn't have the vernacular. I was basically just copying other people in my own style. And honestly, I hate the term reviewer almost as much as I hate the term influencer, because the term reviewer limits a content creator. It paints us into a corner, and people in the comments, trust me, we're going to get to that later, have a preconceived idea of how a reviewer should create their content, about what my responsibility is. And it ain't that simple. Every content creator out there has nuance. They're not just reviewers. They're not influencers either. The only thing I want to influence you to do is to binge listen, to enjoy more music, and to buy some of this high quality Cheap Audio Man merchandise. This is the Cheap Audio Man cassette wallet that reminds you to binge listen. But I made this wallet because it has meaning and because it reminds us to do what's most important, and that's to listen to music. Because supposedly, that's what this hobby is all about. I wanted more room in my garage, so I built some shelves. Bear with me, this story has a point. In building those shelves, I researched a bunch of different designs for shelves, and I finally picked one. I started making the shelves, but I also decided I was going to do something different. I wasn't just going to move stuff from one end of the garage to the other. I was going to take everything out of a section and only add back in the things that I needed, the things that I used on a regular basis, the things that had meaning to me. So I started going through each tote individually, taking out each piece of paper. Anything that was in there, I took out and I looked at it and I had to make a decision. Is this important to me? Do I want to keep it? And in making those shelves and going through everything in my garage, I realized that I didn't need to make the shelves because most of the stuff I was going to put on the shelves I wasn't going to use anymore. I was going to get rid of them. So I didn't need to make the shelves in the first place. But I didn't know I didn't need to make the shelves in the first place until I made the shelves. And that's kind of a story about this channel. The pieces that really stuck with me, the ones that resonated with me, were the ones that had meaning, and I didn't realize it consciously. Stuff like the Advanced Paris A10 Classic. It's about how it looks. It sounds good too, though, don't get me wrong, but it's how it looks and how it makes me feel, and that it makes me want to listen to music more. A Gishelli Labs DAC. How it looks, how it makes me feel, how it sounds too, but more importantly with this piece is the family that's behind this product. But I would rather buy something from someone that I like than something that sounds better. Now, granted, I don't think much sounds better than this. The point I'm trying to make is that when I look at this piece of equipment and I listen to this piece of equipment, it has deeper meaning. I fell in love with the story behind the product, the story behind a company. And this stuff can't be measured. You can't put it on a spec sheet. But before I figured that out, I want to talk about the trolls. A lot about the trolls. If you're a YouTuber and you start to get some views, you're gonna get hate. That is the reality. And if you're not getting hate, that means you're not getting enough views. This has been part of the channel from the beginning, and the majority of the time I tried not to let it bother me. It always does though. And some of the comments you can just tell that, well, maybe someone's having a bad day. But there's other ones that basically have a bit of a grudge, an axe to grind. The funny thing is, I actually figured out if a video was gonna do really well or not by how many negative comments I got in the first hour that the video was released. The more negative comments, the bigger that video was gonna be. So I try to convince myself that it's a good thing. The comments about me being unqualified didn't bother me. The comments about me being a clown didn't bother me. The comments about me being stupid didn't bother me. But there was one that always bothered me. And it was about my integrity. And it was about me getting paid for reviews, or that I was bought and paid for. Shilling for a company. And for the record, I've never been paid for a video before. I've had audio sponsors. I think Weem sponsored the channel. Fozzy Audio sponsored the channel. And I always kind of felt weird about that. That's why when I got the opportunity to be sponsored by things that weren't audio related, like Delicious Factor meals, which I'm signing up for that because they actually are pretty good. I stopped taking any sponsorship deals from audio companies. The other thing that bothered me was when people in the comments would talk about how much I got paid. Because nobody knows how much I get paid. There's a group of people out there that think I should do this for free. And regardless of how bad my videos are, because I have a pretty low threshold about production quality, it still takes time. Scripting, listening, shooting, editing takes a lot of time. Also involves effort, time away from my family, sleepless nights, working every day. That's my choice. I get it, but I do work every day. And every upload I make is a gamble. I don't know where things will land. Most normal people just have to work hard enough not to get fired. And since I never got paid for reviews, it was all about the views. If you've hung in with me for this long, I promise it's almost over. I started making videos about like when Massimo bought Sound United and what happened to Sound United, how their stock price fell. I found all of that stuff incredibly interesting. And people liked those videos. I did opinion videos about the history behind a company, like the history of Monster Cable. And a ton of people watched. I did videos about scandals, the Sony CD scandal, about rootkits and malware, how a whole bunch of Universal Masters burned up and Universal covered it up. More Sony scandal videos. Videos about CDs, about cassettes, about culture, about the impact that these little plastic rectangles had. That's the stuff that really interests me. And obviously it interests more people because they got way more views than any videos I've done on specific products. And honestly, I like making those videos more because those stories have meaning. Those stories maybe inform an audience of something that they didn't know. And while I can make a product review entertaining, at some point I run out of charisma, voice inflections, and stupid jokes. At some point there needs to be a story, and most of the time products don't have that. Some of them do. I'm not saying I will never make another video specifically about a product. I will. But that product needs to have some type of meaning. It has to be special. I want to do more deep dives into culture, nostalgia, and not just nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia, but for why it mattered back then. About buying CDs, about the friction associated with listening to CDs, about how streaming music is taking something from us that we may not even realize it's taking. Thought experiments. I want people to think about things differently. Be more intentional about listening to their music. Because I'm 50. My wife got cancer. So obviously that made me think about stuff. And I also just need to listen to the audience. If the audience likes a specific type of video, I need to make more videos like that. Because otherwise, I'm the one that's determining what type of content people should watch. I'm not a kingmaker for a specific product. I'm not an anointer, but I do give out tongue-in-cheek awards at the end of each year. I don't know if I'll do that anymore. Maybe. This is a long way to say that my main goal is to tell stories. Stories that I think people need to hear. Or at the very least, stories that I think people will find interesting. Maybe something surprising about a company that you didn't know. I don't know. But here's the cool part. I have a full-time employee now. Her name is Valentina, and she helps me write scripts. She does emails and frees up my time to be more creative, to do more work, to do what I'm good at. Figure stuff out, find the meaning behind something. Product reviews will never be 100% gone on this channel, but they're not the direction that I'm moving towards. But reviews laid the foundation of this channel. And if you've been with me from the very beginning, I thank you so much because you've changed my life. But I want to change more people's lives, like Valentina, and more people that I can hopefully hire in the future. I want to tell stories that inspire people, helps people find a deeper meaning in stuff. Helps people understand that it's just not mindless consumerism, because that's what I felt I was doing. It was just one DAC after the other, another amp, another speaker. Why this one's slightly better than the one previous to it? It got exhausting. So I think I'm gonna take a break from that type of video, maybe forever. I'm also starting a music channel where I tell stories about bands, about events, maybe about evil record labels. I don't know. What I do know though is that it's going to be fun. Not in my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd be doing YouTube full time. To be able to do something that I love. To be able to build a community. You have truly changed my life. I'm a better person because of this channel. Even the trolls helped me change my life and become a better person. So yeah, that's why I'm not doing reviews anymore.